You are listening to the Pro Audio series, presented by LifeVantage. The Doctors Panel, hosted by David Brown, features Doctors Skip Campbell, Gene Tynes, Dondi Nettles, Terry Cooper, Mark Gordon, and Norman Marvin.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things that sets LifeVantage apart, whether it be our dedication to giving back, whether it be a focus on all 5,000 of you that really do set us apart. But from the very beginning, a hallmark of the company was our science. We were built upon a foundation of science and research, starting with Dr. McCord. And he was a great part and remains a great part of the legacy of LifeVantage. Well, because of that, I think we have another distinction in our company. We have literally hundreds, maybe thousands at this point, of doctors and medical professionals who have joined our company as distributors. And that sets us apart from almost any other company in this industry. And so for the first time in the history of LifeVantage, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the inaugural Doctors Panel. Please introduce them to the stage. We have a pretty eclectic group here. I'm really glad that Dr. Cooper wore something other than gray on stage. It's great. She's going to be our colorful spokesperson today. But it is my honor to welcome you all here. They have the distinction of not only being medical professionals and doctors, but also all of them are elite distributors. And we're going to talk a little bit about both of those things this afternoon over the next few minutes. But to begin with, I'd like them to introduce themselves, say who they are, where they're from, what kind of medical professional that they are, and how they first got introduced to Protandim. So,
I'm Dr. Norman Marvin, family physician. Family physician, Kansas City, Kansas, Overland Park, and that's it.
How did you get introduced to Protandim?
How did I get introduced? An angel from heaven come down and showed me this. And she was an embodiment of Doris Lewis in North Kansas City. I was a cold call. Her husband kept telling her, "Don't call Dr. Marvin, you'll just irritate him." And she said the more she heard that, the more she knew she had to call me. So the rest is history.
Great story.
My name is Terry Cooper. I am a chiropractor, acupuncturist, clinical nutritionist from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I was introduced to this product from, I would guess, a dynamic duo that would not leave me alone. And athletic trainer Cindy Foss and her good friend April Butcher, who actually helped me with my youngest daughter. And so that was, I don't know, a couple years ago, and I just kept telling them no, 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 and they wouldn't leave me alone.
That sounds cool when you do that. Do that again. Thanks, Terry.
There's an echo. I'm Dr. Gene Tynes. I'm from Great Falls, Montana. I'm actually an imposter. I'm not a real doctor. I'm a dentist. So I just wanted to make sure that's out there first. But yeah, I'm a dentist. I've always been intrigued about overall health and wellness. And we got introduced, I again think it's divine intervention through my wife, my lovely wife Kelly. Had a friend of a friend that talked to her and kept bugging her about talking to us about LifeVantage. I'd actually been studying the effects of oxidative stress on some dental conditions that never made sense to me as far as the way we were treating it. And so we heard about it that way. We talked to Cynthia Delaney, cold call essentially, and we never looked back. So thank you.
I'm Dr. Skip Campbell from Denver, Colorado. And I'm a doctor of network marketing. Before, I was a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, and I practiced not 40 minutes from here. My beautiful wife Jill and I were introduced to this when Tyler and Jason and Marcel and David Brown came to our house. Cold call, knocked on the door with a video in their hand, kind of. And we were the same way. I knew what oxidative stress was. I knew that it was a big deal. And when I looked at when my wife and I watched that video, I said, if that product can do what they just said it can do, it's the most important supplement in the world, and the rest is history.
I'm Mark Gordon. I'm a cardiologist from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I've been interested in preventive health for a long time, and I've always researched products as they come about to find out if it's something that I'm interested in. And 99% of the time, they're not, because they don't have any science behind it. But I, like Dr. Marvin, was a cold call. Maria Williams from Phoenix, Arizona, gave me a call, not even knowing I was a physician. And she called me and asked me to watch this video, and I didn't watch it. And she kept calling me week after week after week to try to get me to watch this video. And I finally watched the video, signed up on my own that night without any help from anybody at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And the next day I got a call, and it was only on that next day when Carrie and Maria and Carrie Dickey called me that they discovered that I was a cardiologist. So ever since then, I've been known as the flippin' cardiologist.
I'm Dr. Don D. Nettles from Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm a doctor of chiropractic. And first heard about Protandim from my business partner Vince and our sponsors Blue and Colt Elam. And it was something that, like my esteemed colleagues up here, oxidative stress was something I was familiar with, and antioxidants I knew was something that is limiting that, but I didn't know that we had the power to influence the enzymes within our cells. And when I saw that information, it was pretty much all in for me.
Well, great. Thank you, doctors. I'd like to start off with Terry as our female representative on the panel today. Now, Terry, you're from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And all of you as medical professionals have a great concern about your integrity, your reputation, your medical ethics, and are so concerned about what you tell patients. How are you, and then you come from a smaller community where not only do you have that as a doctor, but they know where you live. And so tell me, how did you overcome those initial reservations about products? What was it about Protandim that made a believer out of you?
Well, honestly, when it was first brought to me, and I kind of like Skip and Dundee, I thought if this can do what they say it can do, it's a no-brainer. Our patients should know about it. And because I do so much nutrition, it seemed very easy. I would just have it in my office. Never in a million years did I think I would be on a doctor panel speaking to 5,000 plus people about this. And that was only 2 years ago. So my reputation, after being in that community for over 20 years, was extremely important to me. And I wasn't about to put my name behind something that I didn't have a strong belief in. And so after I finally looked at the evidence and looked at the science, and at the time there were only, I think, 7 studies done, and I started to plug in. I think that's the value of what we have here, is you have so many people that you can plug into, and people that connect with you. Don D and I were talking about that backstage, how we just are so grateful for the friendships that we've made in this company, knowing that we all come from the same core belief values. And that was very important. And as I look at my reputation, I wanted to be sure that it was something very real. And what I can say to you is this is very, very real. And we have seen some remarkable things happen for our patients as well. And that in itself became proof over time. And I think that's what so many people have to see is, proof is in the pudding. I get that. And we've been able to have that. And I love that part of this product. I love that we have something that can change people's lives in so many ways.
Great. Thanks, Terry. Let's go next to Dr. Marvin. Dr. Marvin, you're not only a medical doctor, but you have some interesting background in terms of your training and education that also may have added to the way that you viewed Protandim from the beginning. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. When I got out of high school, my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, so I've wanted, ever since I was 5 years old, to be a doctor, old country doctor type. So I decided they would mortgage the farm, and I would take pharmacy school and pre-med simultaneously. If I didn't get into med school, I could pay off the loan being a pharmacist. Not degrading pharmacy, but is where I was going. And for 3 years, I was asked by the dean to teach a lab course on pharmacognosy. And what that is the recognition of the medicinal properties in herbs. And I had a little lab that had every known herb used in humans in it. I believe that thinking about that the marijuana was in plastic. But the rest of them were free herbs.
Let's slow down there, Dr. Marvin.
So anyhow, having 3 years experience teaching after taking the course, it was fascinating to me. And every one of the herbs that are in this product was in my little lab, had I only known or was able to do anything about it. So anyhow, that's always been akin to me. And the multi-level marketing never upset me. I saw the science, I saw the product, and I just said, hey, if you want to feel better, have more energy, sleep better, age less, get over it. Get it. That's the only way you can take it.
Wow, don't we wish every doctor out there saw it so simply as Dr. Marvin? In fact, that takes me to my next one. And Dr. Gordon, down there, why, in your opinion, do some doctors get it and some people don't?
You know, that's a really good question. And I asked myself that when I first got introduced to Protandim. It's like when you read the science, it's hard to do anything but believe that this is something that everybody should take, right? And so initially, when I would talk to some of my colleagues, they would look at me like I was out of my mind, and why could I possibly be interested in something like this? And most of the time, it was a matter of the fact that they would not take the time to even read the studies. And then if they did, they would usually say something along the lines of, nice basic science studies, come back and talk to me when you have double-blind, placebo-controlled human clinical studies. And we will probably have some small studies like that in the future, but not any of the big studies that they're used to. And it got me thinking, why is it that these people don't see it the way that I do? And last week I was on vacation, and I read a book. It's the only time that I get to read. It was called Proof of Heaven by a gentleman by the name of Eben Alexander. And he is a neurosurgeon, and he'd been an academic neurosurgeon at Harvard for 15 years. And the book is about a near-death experience that he had himself when he had bacterial meningitis. And he talked about when he was a practicing neurosurgeon, how he would see lots of patients that would have these, and they'd tell him about him afterwards, and he thought that, it was just all a figment of their imagination, until he finally had one himself. And he would then go back and tell his colleagues, his neurosurgical colleagues, about this near-death experience that he had, and they all thought that he was crazy too. And it got me thinking that the reason why a lot of doctors don't pick up on this is because they don't see for themselves what this stuff can really do. But when they do see for themselves what it can really do, that's when they start to get excited.
We're actually going to go to Skip next, Dr. Campbell. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I've known Skip for a long time. I used to live in Denver. He was my personal chiropractor. And while I knew that he was a great basketball player, he was a rabid Broncos fan, he's still at least one of those things, and had a great family. I didn't know he was such a science geek until we got together at LifeVantage. Skip, what was it about the science? What is it about the science that caught your attention as a doctor to begin with?
Well, I think it's the same for everybody. First of all, the published stuff that you can read on PubMed, the peer reviews, as a chiropractor, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but we got a lot of those. I mean, we got a lot of the nutritional supplement companies that thought falsely that if they could sign up the chiropractor, they were going to get rich. They were going straight to the top of that company. And so they would come through the front door. My wife ran it, the front door, and she was very effective at round filing all of those. Mostly because the science was done by the company and the video was done by the company. It was starred in by the company's corporate staff, and the whole thing was fake. And so when I saw this product that had real research behind it, done at universities that I recognized, and a second-party video done by that one company the big company that we all know. Can I say it? That's what you're worried about, ABC? Eric Marchin's freaking out right now. A doctor's panel about science with me on it. It's scary.
Okay,
right?
Gene, we'll go to you next. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
ABC, that video, the light bulb went on in my head, and I said, just like Dr. Terry said earlier, that's something I can believe in. It's something I can put my name to, and not just be proud to represent that company, but to know that it's going to, work with my patients. And so that was really the key for me. It was something that I knew that I could integrate into my practice, and also go out and build a residual income.
Gene, you mentioned something pretty interesting. You mentioned that you are already studying about oxidative stress. You're a dentist, and some people might be a little surprised to think that oxidative stress is something that affects so many things, including our dental health and other things. But during the course of your study of oxidative stress, again, what was it about Protandim that caught your eye? And then the next step is, did you have any reservations about it being a network marketing company? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Well, again, it was the peer-reviewed stuff that said how it cured all these things, right? No, it was the peer-reviewed things that gave it some validity that made me look in the first place. But I have an extremely open mind. I always have. I think in dentistry we have a unique opportunity to affect people's lives in a way beyond teeth. I think the average person in the general public thinks that we just look at teeth. If there's a hole in the tooth, we put a filling in there, but it's much more than that. There's things that the oral cavity is one of the places we can really get a true look at what's going on inside the body without making a cut. And there's things that we see going on inside the body by reading tongues, by reading things going on the oral mucosa and the soft tissues that will give us a great indication what's going on inside the body. So to me, when I found this, and the way I introduce it to my patients, it's another tool. I found another tool that may help us with things that I've not been able to help you with before. And that was really powerful for me because there's so many things that aren't explained by the bacteriological model of dental disease, the things that don't fit into that pattern. And so that's what really intrigued me the most about this. And in the beginning, I was totally against network marketing. I thought it was for people that had one eye in the center of their forehead.
Due to oxidative stress.
Due to high levels of oxidative stress, yes. And I thought maybe I could cure the one eye in the middle of their forehead thing. But that was my thoughts about it. And just like I had to learn about the product itself, I had to do my due diligence about what network marketing is and what it takes to be a legitimate company and what it takes to associate yourself with that. Because the same thing, I have a reputation in a small town, and I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that. But I also have an obligation to my patients to be at the cutting edge and to find things for them that can help them with their overall health. And we have time to talk to them. That's the other issue in dentistry. A lot of medicine, unfortunately, people have to go through there on a treadmill, and they have to see patients every 10 minutes, and it's not the doctor's fault. It's the way the system's set up. We have an opportunity sometimes in our hygiene visits to visit for 45 minutes to somebody that has open ears, and we see what's going on in their health. We see their health histories every year. They're on a new medication with a new disease, and so it's a perfect model for us, but it's going to take time to get the whole dental profession on board with that, but it's got to start somewhere.
Thank you. Just as a follow-up to that, do you find that it helps to have sharp tools in people's mouths as you were talking to them about this product?
Yeah.
So, okay, good.
They call that leverage. Yes.
Let's go to Dr. Nettles. Dondi, you've told me before, in fact, we discussed it earlier today, about how you found out about Protandim. What your normal reaction to products, kind of like Skips, but you had kind of a different take on it, or how you handled that in the past, and what brought you into the fold, so to speak, in LifeVantage and Protandim. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. As Skip said, as chiropractors, we get marketed by network marketing companies constantly. And it was something that I was always looking for, something that could help me be a better doctor. So I was not closed off to the opportunity. I just never saw anything that would allow me to do that. And when someone would come in with their brochures or their newspapers or their product samples or whatever, and they would share it with me and tell me, and usually obviously some kind of great testimonial. And I'd say, well, that's interesting. Let me see how the other people that matter to me, what they think of this product. And so I would go to PubMed. I used PubMed probably every week in my practice. And I would invite them actually behind my desk and type in the name of their product into PubMed and hit enter, and there was always 3 words that came up: no results found. And I would say, that's interesting, but it puts me in a very awkward situation. I'm sorry, but I can't go to my patients with a product that doesn't have scientific backing. And I said, in fact, let me put you in the situation it would put me in. If you were one of my patients and I sat down with you and I said, here, check out this brochure, somebody gave this to me yesterday, you really need to get on this product. What would you think of me as your doctor if I had that approach? And I could see that they understood that, and I said, now when circumstances change for you and you have backing that's scientific published in your product, come back and I'll be happy to talk to you. But nothing ever gave me the opportunity until Protandim. Protandim changed all of that. And it was interesting timing because I was very open to network marketing. I didn't really know anything about it, except one pivotal thing happened in my office when I was with a patient. I was going over some x-rays. It's what we call a report of findings with a new patient. And I was going over the information with him, and he said, I got something I really need to share with you. It's network marketing. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't believe in network marketing. And he said, that's interesting. Has anyone ever told you they didn't believe in chiropractic? And I said, yeah, actually I get that all the time. And he says, does their disbelief change yours? And I said, no. And he says, because you're an educated man, but your response was very ignorant, and that really surprised me. And he said, your disbelief in network marketing doesn't change mine at all. And I had no response. He had me dead to rights, and I thought, no one's ever talked to me in my practice like this. So I went to a meeting, and I didn't sign up because they didn't have any products. It was a technology company, but at least I was open to network marketing. And when I saw what we have with published science and the fact it was network marketing, and I could share with other people how to duplicate that, whereas I was in practice for 12 years, and I had 2 of my patients go through chiropractic college as an influence of mine. Cost them 8 years of their life and over $200,000 in student loans. There's not a lot of people saying, hey, sign me up for that deal. But in the 3 years I've been doing this full time, there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of people who followed my lead. So it's a much better way to impact society than I ever could in the walls of my practice.
That's great. Thank you. Let's go back to Terry. Now, Terry, apparently Donnie just answered the question that everyone has here. How do I approach my doctor? And apparently you do it by saying you're ignorant and despite your education and all that kind of stuff. That's the script. But surprisingly, I think everyone's probably a little surprised to hear that almost all of you, if not all of you, were cold called. So in answer to the question, how do I get doctors on board? Obviously, I need doctors in my organization. How do you do that? Terry, would you like to field that?
Say that again.
Should I go after doctors, and if so, how do I do it?
I don't know.
Go, Terry.
We are the same as all of you. We truly are. I think one thing that maybe makes a doctor different is we have the opportunity on a daily basis to help people, to make a difference in their health and that type of thing. And so I think as how to approach a doctor, most doctors are out, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think I was, to save the world. All about saving the world. It really wasn't a money issue for me. So if you walk in and you start talking about network marketing and how great it is and how all of this, I don't think that would be the approach. I think going in and there might be something that could help your patients. This is something that I think, like you had said, that you're going to love, right? And then and touching them each time. I don't make an appointment and then sit there and talk about LifeVantage the entire time. That would really tick me off. But come in and have your treatment talk and leave me something. Follow up. What do we always say? Fortune is in the follow-up. And I had to be followed up on many, many, many times. So don't think it's going to be your golden ticket. I would say, out of the percentages of how many people that are doctors in this room, it's probably a very low percentage. It does help to probably lend some credibility to the product, I would say. But at the same time, not everybody believes in a chiropractor. I think that chiropractors are open-minded in the fact that they look at health and wellness and nutrition, maybe more so than a medical doctor at times. But that doesn't mean that they're just going to jump out there because this takes a lot of time. I mean, my life for the last 2 years has been my day job and my night job. And so you have to find somebody where the timing is right in their lives as well. And it just might not be on your timeline. And I think that's really it. It'll be this was the right timing, right? For all of us on here. And I say it's a God thing. It really was just serendipitous. It happened at the right time, right place for me. And you just like with everybody, you just have to talk about this and share the opportunity with everyone that you know, whether they say yes or no.
Perfect. Lots of nuggets in there. You know, Skip, against my better judgment,
Are you sure you want me to give the mic back to him?
Not really, but I think Skip might have something on that topic. Should they go after doctors, and if so, how?
No.
Okay, give it to Mark now.
Is that really my question? Oh, okay. Yeah, no. You shouldn't go after doctors. I got to backtrack just a little bit. As far as Eric and Rob Cutler, one of my goals is always just to see if I can cause a transient ischemic attack. And so that's why I said that. I want you to know that I don't think Protandim cures any disease, because I just think the only thing that can heal the body is the body. I don't think there are any drugs that can cure any disease either. So I don't worry too much about the FDA. But as far as doctors goes, no. I mean, I didn't sign any up. All the doctors I know were closed-minded idiots, and so at the time, all the ones that I knew, with a couple of exceptions, of course.
We will not comment on whether that's a false claim or not. So,
I built my group just like you guys, just like Dr. Terry just said. We're all the same. We built our groups just like you did. We built them with soccer moms and fathers that were trying to do a better job for their families, people who had a dream. I didn't sign up anybody that had a goal in life to save the world or become a vitamin salesman. We have an awesome product in Protandim, and it's a great segue. If it had just all been science, I would have just been content to give Protandim to all my patients when they came in. And so after looking at that product, after being hooked, I guess, by the science, by that video, it was really the opportunity that got my wife and I moving every single day and selling our practice 2 years later, because we wanted to be full-time network marketers and wanted to be able to pay my student loans off faster than I was as a chiropractor. That's not a joke, by the way. That's totally true. That's as close as I'm coming to making an income claim. I could do it in a couple of months if I wanted to. It's as close as I'm going to come to making an income claim. And so that's why I would build it on soccer moms and husbands and people who just aren't satisfied with where they're at. And I will tell you that like Dr. Gordon said earlier, not everybody's going to be open to this. It's not going to be the right time either for everybody. But sometimes opportunity's not convenient, and it wasn't convenient for us. We worked 2 full-time jobs. Because we wanted this more than we didn't want this. And so at the end of every day, at the beginning of every day, that's what got us up and got us to go do full 2-time jobs, was the fact that we wanted this more than we didn't want this. Go find those people that were like you when you heard about Protandim and you couldn't sleep that first night. You remember? You couldn't sleep. You were thinking of all the people that you needed to talk to, and you were mad that it was midnight and you couldn't call them right now. Go find those people, and you guys will be as successful as you could have possibly imagined in this business.
Great. Thanks, Skip. I think he's redeemed himself. Can he stay? I think so. He can stay. I'd like to go to Dr. Marvin. Dr. Marvin, we are not going to ask Skip how much he makes, but we're going to talk with you about your experience as a country doctor, a family practitioner. You've delivered thousands of babies, and I'm sure you've been a trusted counselor and mentor to many families. And I'm thinking that for as many people as came to you with a health condition that might have a positive benefit with Protandim, there's probably a number of people who, kind of like Skip said, they need financial help. In terms of this, the opportunity to be with LifeVantage, how does that compare to Protandim, the product?
It's perfect. I think it's equal. For example, if you have more energy, you sleep better, you age less, you got to have money to enjoy it. So I think it's a win-win situation. And the business shouldn't be downgraded, even though you got 15 degrees on the wall. They still need money, no matter what your ego says. And so, that's why I think it's very important. There's a lot of people hurting out there. They're hurting out there as much as they are physically. They're hurting financially. And we can make them happy both ways. And they can enjoy both. So I think it's perfect. And multi-level marketing is minor to me. You got to have the product. You go to multi-level marketing. That will give them more than it'll get to you. And that's the big thing. It's all about them, and you're just the messenger. And that's what makes the world go round, and that's what makes families more cohesive. I mentioned in Orlando, the biggest problem in families is divorce. And usually about $800 makes the difference. Well, we got the cure for that one.
That's the type of cure I think we can talk about.
Right.
Let's go to Jean. Jean, Terry in her remarks talked about that she's been working 2 jobs, basically her day job and her night job. Many people might say, well, it's easy for these guys. They are probably more financially set. They can do this. You must have lots of time on your hands, right? That's what makes it so easy to become an elite distributor. How have you balanced? What have you had to do in order to not only maintain your dental practice, but also rise through the ranks of distributors?
Well, first of all, it's through great help with my wife and my daughters and everybody on my team. This is not anything to do with me. I try to be a leader, but it's not anything to do with me. We are busy. My wife Kelly's got medically managed weight loss centers. We've got the dental practice. I own a farm that we're actively involved in. And so it's kind of funny because when people tell me, I'm just too busy to do that, it's like, really? Really? If you just want to get in my back pocket someday and follow me around, we'll see how busy you are. People make time for things that they're really passionate about. You can find time. You can carve out little pieces here and there. And that's essentially what we did. I'm sitting at the chair at least 40 hours a week. But in the beginning, we were just very disciplined about it. And we said, we're going to put in an hour a night. We've got an hour a night to do this. We're either going to go talk to people on our own or we're going to support people on our team. And that's where this grew from. And now obviously it takes a little more time than that, but that's the fun thing and that's the exciting thing about this business model is you can transition into that and you can do it as slowly or as quickly as you want. It's not a race. We're all first and we're all going to be first for some time in the future. So it's not a race. It's more important to build this foundation of this company correctly and do it slowly, just like you guys are doing at corporate. And so you find time for the things that you're passionate about. That's the bottom line.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Dr. Gordon, you are a well-known cardiologist at one of the top 50 heart hospitals in the United States. You weren't looking for this opportunity, but you found it. What's been the most rewarding thing about talking about Protandim, becoming a distributor, being part of LifeVantage? What's been the most rewarding thing that's kept you going despite a busy cardiology practice and wanted you to become an elite distributor?
Excuse me, I would have to say that it's when I talk to people who have been on Protandim and have noticed personal results in their own health, that's what really makes it all worthwhile. Some of the stories that Eric would not let us talk about here today would just blow your mind. And you hear enough of those stories and you start to think, I'm really helping people out here by introducing them to this and explaining to them what the science and so forth is behind this. And then people who start taking this get excited and they think, I have to go share this with my doctor. And kind of getting back to what Terry was talking about, they've noticed their own health benefits and they walk into their doctor's office and they say, Dr. Jones, I'm taking this supplement and it's so wonderful and you've got to hear all about it. And too many people walk into their doctor's offices and they think that the MD behind their name means majestic deity. that they're all-knowing, all-caring, all knowledgeable, and they're going to know everything that there is to know about supplements. And the reality is they don't know anything about Protandim. I mean, I can give you an example. Just last week, a new preferred customer was so excited. She went in, she talked to her doctor, and her doctor told her, you know what, just take a multivitamin. It's going to do more for you, and it's going to be a lot cheaper. You know, he just completely dismissed it without even taking the opportunity to look at the science. And if I can just add a little bit about, talking to doctors. First off, I don't recruit doctors. I'm like Skip. They're boneheaded and they don't get this. But there are people on my team who do recruit doctors, so I feel obligated to talk to those people. But if for some reason you have it in your mind that you want to talk to a doctor against all of our advice, there are two things that you need to arm yourself with. The first is the 9th study, the NERV2 Potential Study, and the second is an article called NERV2 Guardian of Health Span and Longevity. If you get a doctor to read those two articles and they don't get Protandim and NERV2, it's a waste of time to pursue it any further. They're just not going to get it. So it's a very easy thing with doctors. Doctors are very well-educated people. They're generally pretty smart. They may be ignorant, but they're generally pretty smart. And they're going to have to educate themselves. It's going to be difficult for you as a non-medical person to walk into a doctor's office and try to convince them of anything. They've got to convince themselves. And all of us, I believe, were cold calls, and we all convinced ourselves that this was the real deal, and that's why we got excited about it. So hearing the stories of other people, talking to other health professionals like the rest of the panel up here, hearing the stories that they're telling me about what they're noticing in people, that's what keeps me going day in and day out, despite all the arrows that are shot in our direction.
Thank you, Majestic Deity. I've never heard that before. I like that. Let's go to Dondi. Dondi, we don't have a lot of time left. You have been with LifeVantage almost from the beginning, when you still had a busy chiropractic practice. You're now an elite distributor. Whether it be as a doctor, as an elite distributor, or just as someone who cares about all of these people that are assembled here today, what advice, what counsel, what pearl of wisdom would you like to share with them to close us out today?
Great question, and I want to thank Dr. Gordon for pointing out the fact that I was ignorant. That was great. Very subtle. It really comes down to exactly what he said. It was a perfect segue, actually, is the ignorance. And my perspective is I was a healthcare provider, had a very successful practice, and the product was the first thing that caught my eye, no doubt. Got patients on it, saw phenomenal changes, but I realized there's one key variable that I hadn't focused on until I heard about it from some other very prestigious people in our organization that are higher level distributors than I. And it was the business opportunity, and I really sat down and asked myself, the reality of it, there's a lot more broke people than there are sick people. And so what population am I trying to influence? And people that have financial wherewithal to do the things that they want to in life can also afford Protandim and True Science and Canine Health and any other product that's going to come along. But if they don't have that, they really can't afford anything. So I have no right to talk to them exclusively about the product because I'm stunting them. And I've seen it happen many times where people get on Protandim as PCs. And then a life crisis comes up. The hot water heater broke, the transmission goes out or whatever. Now they have to make a family-influenced decision to fix the transmission or to continue taking Protandim, and we know where Protandim lies, and it's gone. Then when they can try to catch back up, they're already out of the habit, and trying to get them back on Protandim is very difficult. And I realized as I saw that happen over and over, where we kind of de-emphasized in the beginning the business opportunity, I felt this tremendous obligation that if we would have led with the business, and this was our maturation process, that we could have stopped that. Because someone who has to make a decision between Protandim and a transmission will lose Protandim and never see the business opportunity. But someone who is a successful distributor doesn't have to worry about either. So they have both. In the other situation, they have neither. And that was the thing that kind of changed it for us, is that in the reality is there's a lot more broke people than there are sick people. And this does by no means does it devalue our products. We have the most scientifically validated, amazing products on the planet. but we also have the most amazing business opportunity that this world has ever seen. And it really comes down to that as a priority.
Thank you, Donnie. Let's go back to Dr. Marvin. Dr. Marvin, you're the elder statesman here. I didn't want to point that out, but you have lots of wisdom. Again, in a minute or so, what last pearls of wisdom would you leave this group with?
Okay. My last minute of wisdom is the most undeveloped area in the world is underneath your hat. And if you want to be a success and climb in rank, you have to have personal growth and development. And this is the greatest opportunity because it accelerates the fun by you growing and increasing your people skills. You know, it's just one of those things that is always better. Whenever you have better people skills, you're a better person. So you're not just doing it for that goal alone. You're helping people help yourself while you're helping people is the key and the wisdom I'd tell everybody.
Thank you. Terry, last words of wisdom?
Look in the mirror, get out of your comfort zone, and just do this. Just do it. It's not hard. Just do it.
Great. Gene, same question.
It's the same thing. Just do it, but don't quit. See, I think so many people, they get excited in the beginning, and that's part of what I get the privilege of talking about tomorrow is people get excited in the beginning and somebody says something to them derogatory and they wilt. And I think that's one of the advantages that we have as professionals is we get bombarded with that stuff every day. So our self-esteem doesn't take a hit when people say that. But so many of you have not had the opportunity to go through that area of personal growth. So you have to get involved, but you can't quit when somebody says something to you. That's the key.
Great, thanks. Skip, we're gonna skip you, but not for the reasons you think. We're coming back. Let's go to Mark. Okay?
I love quoting top distributors in this company, and Colt Elam has a great quote. You have to have skin thicker than wet toilet paper to do this business. And Gene alluded to that, and believe me, when you start to get people taking swipes at you and writing nasty stuff about you in blogs and stuff, it hurts. But you have to realize what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to help people both with their health and with their finances. And you have to rise above all of the garbage that happens when you do this kind of a business. And it will come, believe me. All of us up here have experienced it, and I'm sure all of you guys have as well. So rise above the garbage. And number two, listen to your upline. You don't have to do this alone, and you shouldn't be doing this alone. Your upline will help you. Don't think that you have to create your own marketing model. That's what I thought in the beginning. And after multiple wet noodle lashings from Carrie Dickey, she got me straightened out. And now I do what she tells me to do because I'm afraid of the next one.
Okay. Skip, the real reason that I wanted you to be last is not only that you've been a successful doctor, like Donnie kind of answered the question earlier, so we're going to, unless he has something else to add, but you are the only one on the panel who is a Master Pro 10 distributor. So I think it's fitting for you to bring us home, and what would you like to leave with the audience?
Well, I'm getting a bunch of text messages when you started asking that question. Fred Graves summed it up. He said, tell them to follow the system and get off their, I can't say that word, Fred, posterior, and just do it, period. And that's what I would say. I would say follow the system. Just get out of your own way. Work as hard as you can. Work your guts out for the next 2 years. It will be worth it at the end of the day. I think you have to be coachable. Don't quit. And attend your events. And I'm going to embarrass somebody really quickly. I hope this is okay. But my wife and I, we have a distributor in our downline who's here. There's a lot of you guys that made tremendous sacrifice to be here. And I think those are the kind of people that you have to look for. We have a distributor named Stacy. Stacy, are you out there somewhere? And Stacy came to Elite Academy today after having undergone chemotherapy this morning. So you can build a very successful business with people with that kind of dedication. So that's what I would say. Be dedicated, don't quit, and just demand Master Pro 10, and the universe will give it to you.
Thanks, Skip. Well, I think you can all agree with me that the reason that these individuals are so successful has nothing to do with their medical education. Has everything to do with their heart and the way they care about other people. Join me in thanking our doctors panel. Thanks, everybody.